Well, boys and girls, are you ready for the longest review of the season? Because I'm about to do that, as I am going to look at all 13 games that is going to be happening yesterday. And without further ado, let us actually begin talk about the first game, because most likely this review is going to be close to around 90 minutes, and pretty much you have seen movies that is going to be probably shorter than what I'm about to encounter. A 13 game review where the two boards that I've actually wrote down the notes, I still have to switch the board one more time because there is that 13 game that I of course will have to look at, and both of those boards that I already filled up with notes only look at the 12 games. I only have room for 12 games. But let us actually begin with talking about the first game of last night, which is Atlanta versus Inter Miami. And for Atlanta, they bounced back by getting themselves their own 1-0 win against Inter Miami. But definitely the talking point in this game is a big milestone that has been reached by Josef Martinez in this game. Now, in the first half, just 2 minutes into it, Barco puts it high from close range before Barco once again puts it high just 4 minutes later, but this time from long range. And it was all Atlanta early in this game, and really for majority of this game, Atlanta kind of controlled this one. Though I would say that the game kind of started to become a little bit tight and the chances was kind of at premium. And despite the fact that Atlanta kind of threatened early in this game, there was actually no shot on target that was registered through 30 minutes of this game. So both goalkeepers didn't really kind of get tested until the 31st minute, where the first shot on goal came as Marcelo Moreno's shot is deflected. That goes straight to Marsman. Then Marsman had to deny it, or not Araujo, it's Araujo. I sometimes get that one wrong, but I'm getting better in terms of pronouncing his name compared to the first time I pronounced it, where I could just completely butcher it. But yeah, he denied Araujo there, but he did kind of allow a big rebound that is Marsman, which Martinez just could not bury it in, and we thought that was probably the moment where he finally reached that milestone. But we had to halftime 0-0 between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Atlanta once again come out strong and look for the opening goal. But in the 61st minute, it was actually Morgan had a chance to kind of score against the run of play as he's trying to curl one wide, and that was really kind of Miami's first real chance and a rare chance that they had in this game. Barco then blasted into the supporter section in the 70th minute before Jake Marini hits it straight to Marsman in the 74th minute. But then in the 76th minute, this was the moment for Atlanta to get that crucial goal, as a penalty was given to them after LGP basically handball in the box. Now, obviously, I know there are some Miami fans are not happy about this call, but I think this is, in the end, the right call, because while, yes, LGP did try to kind of tuck his arm behind, when in the motion of him tucking his arm, the ball basically, unfortunately, struck him right as his arms is kind of outstretched. And really, it doesn't matter if you're in the motion of tucking your arm, as long as you're in that motion and your hand is literally outstretched like that, and the ball hits your hand, yeah, that is always going to be a penalty, which, in the 78th minute, it's all eyes was on Josef Martinez in terms of taking this penalty, because like I said, this was a milestone. This could be potentially a milestone night for Josef Martinez of potentially scoring his 100th goal for Atlanta United, and he buries it as he scored there to give them 1-0 lead in this one. And certainly congratulations to Josef Martinez reaching that mark, and let's hope that this is just the beginning of many milestones that Josef Martinez is going to reach, because I truly think that if he can continue to stay fit and be the lethal goal scorer that he has been, he definitely have a chance to potentially break the all-time goal score record that Wando currently owns right now. I mean, he still, I think, have a long way to go, but with the goals scoring rate that he is in, as long as he doesn't suffer injuries from now to in his later years, he can definitely have a shot to do so. But yeah, that of course gave Atlanta the 1-0 lead, and that was pretty much it, because Atlanta kind of just locked it down in the last 12 minutes as Miami was kind of trying to get the equalizer but wasn't able to do so. And in the end, as I said, Atlanta able to win 1-0 in this one, as the shots in this one, 19 shots compared to 7 that Miami has, 7 shots on goal compared to none that Miami has, 7 shots off target compared to 3 that Miami has, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 4 that Miami has, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38 possession that Miami has in this game. And, besides the milestone moment that Josef Martinez reached, this was definitely not one of the best performances for Atlanta, but, as we get into the stretch run of the of the season. You just can take you take any 3 points you get, even if it's not the prettiest result. But for Inter Miami, yeah, their playoffs hope is definitely slip away with this performance, and they just did not look good whatsoever. And I thought they were probably going to be lucky to get a point out of this game, because Atlanta was all over for them in this one, and rightfully so. That Atlanta deserved to get all 3 points in this one, and now are back above the red line, and I believe are now in 6th place in the Eastern Conference. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be TFC versus FC Cincinnati, aka the Wooden Spoon Derby, and I told you so. I told you this was going to be a good game, because that even though it is a battle between two of the worst team in the league, and the battle of whoever is going to lose to have a good chance to win the Wooden Spoon Derby, I just had a feeling it's going to be a good game, and we definitely see some moments in this game that makes it the reason why this is the battle of the Wooden Spoon. But in the end, it was TFC getting the 3-2 victory, and in some way, I guess they kind of lost the Wooden Spoon Derby, because, the way that you win the Wooden Spoon Derby isn't actually to win the game, but you're supposed to lose the game so that you can get fewer points. And it seems like now FC Cincinnati, they look like they're on verge of potentially reach a dynasty of potentially winning 3 Wooden Spoon in a row after this loss. Now, in the 7th minute, Delgado did put it high from long range before Titan was able to deny Ochoa from close range. Then Osorio, you talk about a Wooden Spoon Derby, that I talk about how there's some big moments that kind of makes it why this is a Wooden Spoon Derby. This was one of them. I mean, Jonathan Osorio probably had one of the miss of the season, as he just missed an empty net from 2 yards out. I mean, I still think, if you want to ask me what's the biggest miss of this season, I'll still say it's the Kyoto miss all the way back in the beginning of the season, where he literally just missed from 1 yard out despite having an empty net. But this one was pretty close. Like, Jonathan Osorio, he literally was right there. All he had to do was just get some laces onto the ball, and he somehow missed that one wide from 2 yards out. It's a horrendous miss from TFC. But in the 15th minute, FC Cincinnati was looking to try to punish TFC for wasting that opportunity, as Brenner puts it wide from close range before Schaffelberg puts it wide from long range in the 27th minute. And I thought TFC had more of the chances, and it looked like they were going to get the opening goal, but in the 38th minute, it was Cincinnati that grabs the opening goal in the Wooden Spoon Derby, and it's Matarrita scoring from Lucho Acosta to make it 1-0 in favor of FC Cincinnati, and that, of course, was the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, that lead quickly disintegrate, because TFC got themselves the deserved equalizer, as Jacob Schaffelberg, who seems to have started to score goals after kind of struggled to do so in his first year, as he scored from Soteldo and Delgado to make it tie at 1 apiece. Bradley then drew one high from long range in the 49th minute, before in the 55th minute, Delgado would get on the score sheet for the first time this season, as he scored from Schaffelberg and Larea. So, two guys that usually don't get on the score sheet or even get on the assist chart. They actually get on the score sheet and the assist chart in this game. That is Marky Delgado and Jacob Schaffelberg, and certainly both of them had a good game in this one. And TFC was up 2-1 and kind of turned this game on its head. But they weren't done yet, because in the 57th minute, Soteldo had a header in the back post that is blocked on the line. I thought it was all TFC in the second half, and they would make it 3-1 in the 65th minute, as another guy that don't usually score a lot of goals nowadays, that is Ochoa, who, after that great start that he had this season, he unfortunately been suffering from injury issue, but he is started back to getting full health and started to score goal again, as he scored from Schaffelberg and Soteldo to make it 3-1 in favor of TFC. So Jacob Schaffelberg getting 2 assists and 1 goal, certainly a great night for him. Larea then missed just wide as he was trying to chip it over Titan in the 69th minute, as TFC almost made it 4-1. But then in the 72nd minute, after FC Cincinnati was just getting completely dominated, they actually find a way to get themselves back in the game, and it's Lucho Acosta, the one that was able to get a goal back for FC Cincinnati. And not only the fact that was against the run of play, but that definitely gave some momentum towards Cincinnati, because in the 76th minute, it was almost free, but Bernier strike one that just missed wide from long range, since he was trying to push for a late equalizer, but in the end, TFC was able to hold on to win 3-2 in this game. As the shots in this one, 16 shots clear the 6 that FC Cincinnati has, 9 shots on goal clear the 4 that FC Cincinnati has, 7 shots off target clear the 3 that FC Cincinnati has, 3 shots that was blocked clear the 2 that FC Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 46% possession compared to 54% possession that FC Cincinnati has. And with this win, I think this is TFC's third win in the last 4 games, but obviously, you know, it's way too late for them to make that resurgence that I was thinking that they were potentially going to make. But at least they are definitely trying down the stretch, and sometimes I guess maybe that's a good thing that when a team is not giving up, but at the same time it could also be frustrating if you're a fan of the team, when like, why exactly are they now start trying that they're already eliminated when they could have done the same thing in the beginning of the season. But for FC Cincinnati, I mean, I guess if you want to say the pain meter in terms of this game, it's probably right about 3 out of 10. I mean, you know, they did have a lead in this game and then just kind of give up. I mean, the pain meter for FC Cincinnati to get it that high has to be them blowing late leads, but in this game they kind of didn't do it, and they kind of almost had a chance to come back and get an equalizer in this one, but ultimately they weren't able to do so. And again, they're like TFC are just kind of playing out the season, but they're also going to try to reach a historic mark that, you know, I'm pretty sure their fans don't want to reach, but in some way, just for the memes, you know, they're trying to reach that mark of becoming the first ever MLS team to win 3 wooden spoon in a row. So yeah, we'll see whether or not that they could do so if they just kind of keep losing. But now moving on, in terms of the next game, is going to be DC United and Minnesota. So, like I said earlier in the preview, I thought this game was a clear example that the Loons was just punting this game away and just kind of gift wrapped at DC all 3 points in this one. Because when I saw the starting 11 in this game, and when the fact that Adrian Heath decided to go with a relatively conservative team and decided to go with, I think, a 5-4-1 kind of formation, I knew this was going to be an automatic loss for the Loons, because I've seen this before where Adrian Heath decided to go into a midweek road game where he basically just go very conservative and trying to preserve a draw, and pretty much 9 out of 10 that just does not work whatsoever. And you know, I guess this also kind of give feel in terms of certain Loons fans kind of demanding Adrian Heath to be fired, because yeah, it definitely is kind of frustrating, because we've seen this before so many times years where, you know, in a game where I know it was going to be tough to get all 3 points against DC, but the fact that they didn't even try to do so is kind of just frustrating. And in some way, you know, that next game against Dallas, that is going to be a must-win, knowing how they kind of punt this game away. But in the 8th minute, Kamara hits one straight to Tyler Miller, as just 2 minutes later, Reyna blasted high from close range, and DC definitely was pushing for an early lead, and up to that point, I kind of knew, yeah, this is going to be a long night for the Loons. And in the 21st minute, they got a chance to get the opening goal as a PK was given to DC after Chase Gasper brought Nahar down in the box, and Kamara was able to slot it home to make it 1-0 in favor of DC. I believe that's his 17th goal of the season. Obviously, he is looking... I think he only scored 1 goal in this game. Is that correct? Let's see. Yeah, he scored only 1 goal in this game. I mean, he did kind of add to his lead, or add to his tally to increase his goal total to 17 goal, and basically still in that good position. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say good position, but that prime position in terms of winning the Golden Boot. But knowing the fact that there are also a couple players behind them that have also scored like 2 goals, they definitely are chasing him down to try to get in Golden Boot race. And I think that's also going to be something that's going to be very entertaining to see who exactly is going to win the Golden Boot this year. But up to that point, I think I'm at the 31st minute. Ariola puts it wide from close range. I already mentioned this could be a long night for the Loons, but surprisingly, they got an equalizer. And it's Dibasi, the one that was able to score from Fragapani. By the way, I was watching this on the DC feed, and I think it's Dave Johnson, the main commentator for DC, who is kind of a very very polarized kind of commentator. I know there's some people that like him, some people of course hate him. I actually personally like him, especially his goal call, and you probably know when you watch the Sports Hop series, you probably know which commentator I kind of took an inspiration before or inspiration out of, but he kind of keep pronouncing Debasi. Now I know before the beginning of this season, that's I think when I was listening to the Minnesota feed with Cal William and Kendra Dean saying Albin, they also pronounce it Debasi, but I think recently they kind of changed that pronunciation, and I think maybe Debasi basically kind of just correct them that this is how you actually pronounce your name, not the way that you kind of start pronouncing. So now they kind of start pronounce it Debasi instead of Debasi, but I guess maybe Dave Johnson didn't get that memo. He still kind of pronounced the way that the Loons broadcast kind of pronounce it, but nevertheless, he scored from Fragapane to make it get 1-1 in this game. No doubt it was completely against the run of play, and I thought, okay, maybe they no. It would be 2-1 just before halftime after Gresso was able to score from Kamara to make it 2-1 in favor of DC, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now in the second half, another penalty was given to DC, as this time Debasi brought down Canals in the box, but Miller was able to deny Kamara from the spot in the 51st minute, and this was just not a good penalty from Ola Kamara. Like, he literally hits this one straight to Tyler Miller. I mean, Miller still had to kind of make the save, but when you are a penalty kick taker and you literally hits it straight down to the keeper and doesn't even hit with a lot of power, 9 out of 10 times that is going to be easily saved, even if the goalkeeper would already have committed. But the game remains at 2-1, and there was a chance for Minnesota to capitalize on that penalty kick miss, as just 1 minute later, Hamid absolutely robbed Fragapane on the header. There was another shout for a penalty in the 59th minute from DC, but this time it was not given. And then in the 60th minute, the Loons kind of just waved the white flag, because Adrian Heath decided to kind of bring off some of his starters and bring in the reserve in this game. And, again, I understand that. I think he realized that, he wants to save some legs in terms of that crucial game against FC Dallas, but I kind of didn't like the fact that he decided to just kind of pull the plug up to that point, because remember, the Loons had a big chance just a couple of minutes to get the equalizer, and I thought, maybe there's still a chance for them to do so, even though it still kind of looked like it's a losing cause. But again, it just feels like at that point I realized that they're not gonna win this game when they bring in the reserve. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Minnesota fans probably turned off the TV when they saw the reserve coming in, because they know that this is not going to be a victory. Kamara then in the 71st minute tried to make amends for his penalty and try to score a goal of the week contention, as he gone on his bike but missed just wide there, before Gresso missed wide from close range in the 72nd minute, and it looked like DC was going to put this game away. Nahar then missed wide from 15 yards out, and in the 84th minute, they did put the game away. That is DC United, as Junior Moreno scored from Flores to make it 3-1 in favor of DC. Dave Johnson mentioned the fact that that's finally his first MLS goal, but I'm not quite sure if that is actually the case, because I swear that Junior Moreno have scored for DC before, and maybe I think what he meant is that's his first MLS goal this season. But as of now, I'll just kind of stick with what he says, and that maybe that is indeed the first goal that Junior Moreno has scored for DC United. But nevertheless, it was a big goal, because again, that killed the game off in this one, as DC was able to walk away 3-1 winners. Shots in this one: 15 shots compared to 6 that Minnesota has, 5 shots on goal compared to 2 that Minnesota has, 7 shots off target compared to 2 that Minnesota has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And DC are now all the way up to 3rd place in the standings. And I remember I read an article on the league website, and how I actually heard that someone actually mentioned the fact that Hernan Losada could potentially win Coach of the Year. And I like the fact that they kind of realize that now, because remember when I kind of did my my mid-season award, at how I basically award the Coach of the Year to Hernan Losada, and that, I said it's kind of a bit of a surprise, but I kind of award him that trophy. It seems like, nice try in terms of trying to kind of sneak sneak that one in, but I kind of already called it, the fact that he could potentially win it. Although I will say that after I awarded him that in my midseason award, DC kind of had a bad run, and I thought maybe I just jinxed DC there by awarding their head coach the Coach of the Year award. But nevertheless, what a job Hernan Losada has done to this team. And again, there's been times I doubted his tactics where, I know he's trying to put a very entertaining kind of team every single week, but there's times it can really backfire, and at least in these last couple of games, it just have not done so, because teams still couldn't really quite figure out how they kind of get through this press. And again, when you play against DC and you cannot get through that initial press, you are going to be in big trouble, and that was the case for Minnesota in this game. They just cannot quite get through the initial press, and not to mention the fact that it also is pretty easy with the way that they were just playing a defensive formation that it just never seems like it was going to work coming into this one. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, it's going to be New England and Montreal. So this has to be a rough way to start the homestand for Montreal, losing 4-1 to New England. And also for the Refs, it's now down to single digit in terms of their chase for record, as they're only 8 points in terms of breaking the record that LAFC set for the most point in a regular season in MLS. And also, I'm also listened to the Extra Time Radio board, or the podcast. I almost said broadcast there, but it's a podcast. And I think during the part of the podcast, they actually bring a press conference that Bruce Arena was in, and somebody asked him that should his team be a little bit concerned with the refs are kind of just getting a little bit fortunate with scoring some late goals. And obviously Bruce Arena kind of took offense to that question, and he was definitely not happy about it. And in some way, he maybe still feel like it coming into this game, because he basically proved all the doubters that, yeah, New England is not a team to mess with, and when they feel like they want to turn on and blow teams out of the window, they can do exactly that in this game, because, yeah, they absolutely blow Montreal out of the water. Although, that being said, Montreal did kind of have the first opportunity, as Kyoto puts it wide from 10 yards out. And the old cliche, when you have a big opportunity against a much superior team, you have to put it away. And I just feel like with that missed chances, yeah, Montreal is probably gonna lose this one, because just 4 minutes after that missed chance from Montreal, New England gets the opening goal, and it's DeJuan Jones that gets the goal for the Revs to make it 1-0. Before it was 2-0 very quickly, as Buxa would score from Bo to make it 2-0 in favor of the Revs. Could have been 3-0 in the 28th minute if it wasn't for Pantemis denying McNamara from long range, before Pantemis had to once again make kind of a save to kind of palm away a dangerous cross that DeJuan Jones was putting in. And I also kind of wrote, this could get really ugly for Montreal. And it did, because in the 30th minute, it would be 3-0 in favor of the Revs. And the Revs have been having all the luck this season, when this was just a ball that was kind of playing, and Camacho just kind of took a stab at this one. And when you're a defender and you kind of trying to take a stab at it, you got to be careful not to mishit it, because you can basically redirect it toward your own goal. And that's exactly what happened in this case, with Camacho redirected right back toward his own goal. And just like that, the Revs were up 3-0 in this game, and it looked like this game was pretty much over. Though Montreal did get one back, and at least kind of give their fans a slight hope, as Joaquin Torres would quickly score to make it 3-1 in favor of Montreal. But Pantemis was able to deny Buxa in the 34th minute, and actually went through on goal there. And New England, they were looking to quickly get themselves the fourth goal and restore the 3-goal lead. They could did so in the 38th minute, when Buxa actually struck the post. And as that one actually bounced off the post, I don't know if Tasia Buchanan knew a lot about this one. In fact, he definitely knew nothing about it, because judging by the way that he kind of hits it, he didn't know that ball was kind of came right back toward him. But still, despite that, it almost went in. Like, it actually struck the post, even though he kind of knew nothing about it. And yeah, that was kind of one of those rare moments where you have a sequence where two times that the team hit the post, and I would say that's kind of like what we call a double post moment in that sequence. But we do head to halftime with New England leading 3-1. And in the second half, fast forward into the 86th minute, it would be eventually 4-1 as Gustavo Bo would score from Captoon to make it 4-1 in favor of the Revs. Mihajlovic then struck the post from close range in the 89th minute. There was a lot of posts that was struck in this one because I think that's the third time that the post was rattled in this one. Before in the third minute of stoppage time, it was almost 5-1, but Pentimus was able to deny heel as Buxa on the foul puts it wide. I mean, I can't really blame James Pentimus in this game as the reason why he lost this game, and that, you know, the 4 goals that he gave up, I don't think any of them he can do anything about it. And in many ways, just a good example of the fact that a goalkeeper just got completely hung out to dry by this Montreal backline that basically decided to just not show up in this game whatsoever. But yeah, in the end, it was New England, of course, winning 4-1 against Montreal. And the shots in this one, 19 shots compared to 12 that the Revs had. Both teams had 7 shots on goal. 7 shots off target for the 3 that New England has. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that New England has. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that the Revs had. And again, this is just a good reminder that the Revs, you know, they can play ugly at times, but when they are on and when they feel like they need to blow team out the door, they can do exactly that. And they basically show Montreal in this game that, yeah, there's a reason why this team is not going to only win Supporters Shield, but they are definitely the favorites of potentially winning MLS Cup this season. But now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be the Red Bulls and the Union, which ended in a 1-1 draw. But in many ways, for the Red Bulls, they would feel like they should have got 3 points in this game. And in some way, they had to get 3 points in this one if they want their slim playoff hope kind of stay alive in this season. But early on, Cáceres then Cáceres puts it wide from long range in the 4th minute before Fernandez also puts it wide from 13 yards out. And the Rebels, you know, they looked like they were lively early in this game, but the Union was the one that was able to get the opening goal, and it's Sergio Santos, the one that gets the opening goal for the Union, kind of against the run of play, because like I said, the Red Bulls looked like they were the one to get the first goal in this one. Though in the 28th minute, Yearwood tried to get the equalizer for the Red Bulls with a curler, but that one missed wide. But then, just 9 minutes later, the Red Bulls did get the equalizer, and it's the New York Derby hero, Omer Fernandez, scoring for the 2nd game in a row from Cáceres Jr. to tie the game up at 1 apiece, though the Union almost retook that lead in the 42nd minute as Bedoya hits it high from the corner spot, and then Duncan tried to do an acrobatic kind of shot, but unfortunately, yeah, he kind of got that one all wrong, and that ball almost looked like it was going to go wide for a corner. But we head to halftime with the score tied at 1 apiece between both of these teams. Now in the second half, not much happened in the first 15 minutes of this second half. So we picked up in the 63rd minute with Duncan hitting a long-range effort that goes straight to Blake. Then Barlow had a chance to curl one in, but he hits it straight to Blake before Token basically blasts one from 30 yards out, and he actually did not miss by much though, but it always was going to take something special to score from that range. But there was no doubt that the Red Bulls was pushing for the lead. In the 85th minute, Blake and Barlow kind of had some choice words with each other, and I don't know how this kind of all started. I think it all started when, you know, Blake got this ball that was behind the line, and I think it should have been a corner for the Red Bulls. But then all of a sudden, Blake and Barlow was kind of getting in each other's faces. But I guess it's just a reminder that, yeah, both of these teams, they do not like each other, especially going back to some of the playoff series that both of these teams faced a couple of years ago. But in the 6th minute of stoppage time, the Red Bulls had one last opportunity to get that late winner as Wiki Carmona tried to do so, but he puts it high from 19 yards out. And in the end, the Red Bulls, a frustrating 1-1 draw against the Union in this one. And the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 5 that the Union has, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Union has, 8 shots off target compared to 1 that the Union has, 1 shot that was blocked compared to 2 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 48% possession compared to 52% possession that the Union had in this game. And, you know, like I said in the preview earlier today, that next game against FC Cincinnati on the road for the Red Bulls is an absolute must-win because, you know, with them dropping points once again at home, you know, I talked about they already have very few margin to drop points so that they can stay in the playoff race. It's now basically next to nothing. Like, if they do not win against FC Cincinnati on the road, I think the Red Bulls' chance of making the playoffs, and that this could be the first time in 11 years that they finally missed the playoffs for the first time since 2010. But for the Union, you know, this was not a pretty game for them, but they were able to grind out a point in this game. And sometimes, you know, when you're in a playoff race, even though I know they'll be frustrated they didn't get 3 points and some of the team around them also kind of passed them, but when you don't play well on the road and you're still able to grind out a point, it could be important compared to when there could be cases where other team might also play poorly on the road, but they aren't able to grind out a point, and the Union might get a point out of that. So, but yeah, either way, moving on now into the last game on this board is the Chicago Fire and NYCFC. Now, the big talking point in this game isn't actually what happened in terms of the result in this one, and I'll definitely talk about right after I go over what happened in this one. But early on, I think the first thing I forgot to mention in the preview of this game is that this game was actually played at SeatGeek Stadium, so it's kind of a bit of a homecoming for the Chicago Fire. I mean, you see what I did there, how the Fire always kind of promote that they're playing back home at Soldier Field, but now it seems like they're really playing back at their old dig at SeatGeek Stadium in this one. And although, you know, the attendance wasn't actually that good, I think there was only like 5,000 fans that showed up for this game, but still, I fought for a midweek game at Bridgeville, and especially against a Fire team that looked like they're already the NCU next season mode. It's kind of impressive that the Fire fan did at least showed up in this game and kind of tried to support to see their team to get all 3 points in this one. But early on, in the 3rd minute, Johnson was able to deny Pineda from long range, and you know, the Fire, they definitely were looking up for this game, playing at their old dig. I mean, I know a lot of players on this team wasn't part of the Fire team that used to play at SeatGeek Stadium, but they were definitely looking up for it and trying to give their fans something to cheer about. Then there was kind of a half-hearted shout for a handball in the box by the Fire, but it wasn't given. Before Magno did hit one straight to Solania in the 17th minute, and then Maxi Morales actually struck the post despite kind of mishits it. So that was kind of a weird shot where Maxi Morales kind of just mishits it, but somehow it kind of struck the post. Like, if he actually hits it, I think maybe that one would have gone high. So yeah, that was kind of a weird moment, but there was no doubt that NYCFC was starting to get back into this game after a slow start. Speaking of the post, Baric struck the post in the 41st minute, and then on the follow-up, Espinoza was trying to curl one in, but he also struck the post. So again, another moment where 2 posts were struck on the same sequence, and just like what I said in this game between Montreal and New England, where it was kind of the same situation, we had a rare double post moment in the same sequence in this time, but this time it was by the home team. But we had to halftime 0-0 between both of these teams, and heading into the second half, the Fire finally got the opening goal, and it's Robert Baric that scored from a draw to make it 1-0 in favor of the Fire. I mean, it's been a tough year for Robert Baric, who just have not got going so far this year, but that definitely is a goal that he would be happy. You consider the fact that he's also have been through a long dry spell of scoring a goal. But just 19 minutes later, the Fire would double their lead, and it's Navarro that scored from Baric to make it 2-0 in favor of the Fire. That's the first MLS goal ever from Miguel Navarro, but yeah, in many ways that should have been saved by Sean Johnson. And I talked about this before, where Sean Johnson is kind of just replicate NYCFC lately in terms of the form, where it's just been so inconsistent. Like, there's been time that Sean Johnson has made some incredible save, and then there's just time where you see this, where Navarro didn't even hit that one strongly. And yes, I know that it kind of also took a deflection, but it wasn't like a deflection where it just completely wrong-footed a goalkeeper. Like, Johnson, he had this one, and he even got a hand to it, and he just kind of scuffed this one and give the Fire a 2-0 lead. And I can't believe that when the U.S. men's national team also announced their October World Cup roster, which, by the way, I've been so busy that I haven't even got a chance to look at the US and their October World Cup roster, and I'll definitely try to do that maybe somewhere next week. But I can't believe he still made it into that roster, considering the fact that I'm pretty sure there's certain MLS goalkeeper in this league, and at least certain American MLS goalkeeper in the league probably deserve that spot, not more than what Sean Johnson has, who has just been so inconsistent for NYCFC this season. But in the 67th minute, Rodriguez did thought that he scored a goal right back for NYCFC, but the goal was disallowed for offside before Tinnerholm puts it wide from 14 yards out. And then in the 74th minute, it was almost an own goal that was scored by Panea, but somehow Selena was able to save that one. There was no doubt that NYCFC was trying to get one back, but in the last minute of this game, Johnson was able to rob Chinoso 04 and the Fire a chance to put the icing on the cake from long range. But in the end, the Fire was able to get a 2-0 win against NYCFC, and the shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 10 that NYCFC had, 5 shots on goal for the 2 that NYCFC had, 4 shots off target for the 5 that NYCFC had. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that NYCFC has in this game. And, the inconsistent form for NYCFC continue in this game, and if they don't get it going, I talked about how tight that Eastern Conference playoff race is. If they can't get snapped out of this inconsistent form, there could be a chance where they could potentially miss out on playoffs. But also now get to the point where, despite the Fire did win 2-0 in this game, there was definitely a big news came out this morning, and actually there was a big news that was break out right after this game, where Taylor Twellman basically reported that Chicago Fire head coach Raphael Wicky was being fired after this game. Now, it is always weird when you see a head coach being fired right after a team, of course, win a game, but it was pretty much confirmed this morning when the Fire basically announced it, and, I'm definitely going to do a video talk about what went wrong for Raphael Wicky, and I'll probably even combine Raphael Wicky and Yapstam into a single video looking at both team and what went wrong for both of these head coach that unfortunately got them the axe at the end of the season, because like I said, there's just not enough time for me to kind of do 2 separate video, consider how busy I've been in terms of doing previews and review every single day. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last 6 games, or actually look at the next 6 games, because we still have 7 games to talk about. Now, and this video is already 36 minutes long, but either way, I'm going to switch boards. But yeah, moving on, in terms of the next match, is FC Dallas and Sporting KC, and this was probably one of the most predictable result of the season, and definitely the most predictable result in terms of this match week, as it's no surprise that Sporting KC was able to win 3-1 against FC Dallas and bounce back after that tough loss they suffer at home against the Seattle Sounders. Now, in the first half, 4 minutes in, Showery did put it high from long range, as SKC was definitely on the front foot early. And then in the 12th minute, Showery would score from Martins to make it 1-0 in favor of Sporting KC, and I believe that's his 14th or 15th goal that he has scored this season. But he's, as I said before, him and Rui Diaz are 2 of the guys that I know right now are chasing Kamara in terms of that golden boot race, and both of those guys actually did make up ground, because as I'll talk about a little bit later, Rui Diaz also got a brace. That goes the same with Showery, which he of course scored one of the first 2 goals here in the 12th minute. Now, 5 minutes later, it looked like Dallas was back on level pecking when Pepe was able to score, but unfortunately that goal was disallowed for offside. But just a couple of minutes later, Maurer was able to deny Russell from the free kick from 20 yards out, and besides that moment where Dallas thought that they got the equalizer on the offside goal that Pepe scored, it's been all SKC in this game. Like, this looked like it was going to get ugly for FC Dallas as SKC was pressing for a second. But we do head to halftime with Sporting KC only holding a 1-0 lead. Now, in the second half, it seems like Dallas kind of started to get going a little bit, knowing the fact that, yes, they kind of been outplayed, but, it's only been 1-0. They can maybe have a chance to come back from this. And Shun had a chance to do so, but he pulls it wide from 17 yards out. But that hope of potentially getting a comeback gone up in flames in the 52nd minute, because not only the fact that it was a penalty that was given to Sporting KC after Acosta brought down Showery in the box, Brian Acosta also was given his marching order after it was deemed that he basically had a denial of goal score opportunity there. And Johnny Russell basically buries that one to make it 2-0 in favor of Sporting KC. Before it would be 3-0 in favor of SKC, as Sharawi would score again from Mari to make it 3-0 up to that point. And like I said, up to that point, I'm pretty sure nobody was really watching this game, unless if you're an SKC fan, you're probably just enjoying the fact that let's see how many goals they can put past Dallas in this one. Now, they could have made it 4-0 in the 62nd minute, as he actually, Daniel Sharawi actually tried to go for a hat-trick, but he hits the side netting off an off-balance shot. But then in the 64th minute, it was another chance to make it 4-0, but Maurer was able to rob Gadi Kina, who was through on goal. And then in the 62nd minute, Dallas was able to get one back. And who else but Ricardo Pepi able to score from Holland's head to make it 3-1 in favor of SKC. I mean, Pepi continued to pretty much get that hype train just literally now. That hype train is basically like a bullet train right now. Like, he is just scoring at a rate that we have not seen a Dallas player has scored. Like, even some of the most talented Dallas player that's been shipped overseas, I don't think we have seen one that has been that lethal. And there's no doubt he's gonna get a huge profit for FC Dallas and a big money move to Europe this offseason. But in the 70th minute, Pepi did have a chance to score his second goal and maybe make things interesting late in this one, as he pulls it wide from 20 yards out. And again, Dallas, despite down, they were looking to try to make things interesting and trying to get one back. But in the 5th minute of stoppage time, they had one last opportunity to get a consolation, and Melia was able to deny Pepi there. And on the follow-up, Pepi actually had a second crack of it, but unfortunately he blasted out one high. And in the end, SKC, I think they kind of took the foot off the gas when they did concede that goal and kind of put it on cruise control and able to get the 3-1 victory after that. But the shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 6 that Dallas had, 2 shots on goal compared to 7 that Sporting KC had. Both teams had 4 shots off target, no shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that FC Dallas has in this game. And again, no surprise of how this resort of course goes on. And Sporting KC, they'll be happy with not only getting the 3 points, but continue to try to put pressure on the Seattle Sounders in terms of regaining that top spot in the Western Conference. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is Nashville and Orlando City, and I thought Orlando was going to lose 5 in a row, for sure. Like, when Nashville went up 2-0, and especially as we head to the last 15 minute with Nashville still leading 2-0, I thought this was it for Orlando City. Like, they were on verge of losing 5 in a row, and even when Orlando did kind of make this game interesting in the dying moments, it looked like Nashville was going to hold on, because again, this is a team that do not give up leads and don't usually have trouble in terms of finishing out games. But in this one, they just kind of had that problem, and they gave up a very late goal in the third minute of stoppage time, and this will definitely be a game where they would feel like they lost this one, and they felt like they dropped all 3 points. Now, in the first half, Leal did hit one straight to Galese before Nashville, I thought, already kind of looked threatening. Then they're more than they did in the entire 90 minutes against Chicago. I mean, I know I'm going to mention that game again, but yeah, that was just such a boring game where, again, Nashville really didn't do much at all in that one and really didn't have any opportunity. And here we are 20 seconds into this game. They already probably had more of the chances that they had than the last game that they had against the Chicago Fire. Now, in the 7th minute, they had a chance to get the opening goal as a penalty was given to them after Mendes brought down Godoy in the box, which Mukhtar basically steps up. And Galese originally make a good save to deny Mukhtar from the spot, but unfortunately, the rebound was kindly fell right back to Mukhtar, who basically slots that one home, and Nashville was up 1-0 at home at that point. But then in the 17th minute, DK did puts one right to Willis before Urso also puts one straight to Willis, and Orlando was definitely looking to push for an equalizer. And even though I said earlier that Orlando probably should have lost this one, they actually looked pretty good in this game, and this was probably besides the game that they looked against the the refs, probably the best that they looked during this bad run that they've been on. Because in the second half, they were definitely on the front foot again early, trying to get the tying goal. Willis was able to deny Pereira in the 52nd minute. Before in the 59th minute, we thought this was the back-breaking goal for Orlando, because despite them doing very well, Nashville was able to score against the run of play, as Leao was able to score from McCarty to make it 2-0 in favor of Nashville. And you just kind of sense after this is when the Orlando player kind of had their heads drop, and that, yeah, Nashville, they're happy they're up 2-0, but they can definitely smell blood to try to get a third or even a fourth. In the 65th minute, Zimmerman heads it wide from close range, and I believe this one is coming from a ball coming into the box, and you definitely do not want Walker Zimmerman, the one to basically met that ball, especially with the way that he kind of had a free header there, and you do not see it very often that Walker Zimmerman missed a free header, because he is just so good in terms of those. But in the 67th minute, Leao did puts it wide from about 29 yards out, as Nashville definitely was looking to try to put this one away and get a third goal. Kwan then drive one that goes wide in the 68th minute, but then in the 75th minute, a lifeline was granted to Orlando, as a penalty was given after DK was brought down by Jack Mayer. Now, this was kind of a little bit controversial, because, I don't think Mayer really kind of put a lot of contact off of DK, but knowing the fact that I think DK kind of tried to sell it a little bit, and he definitely got the benefit of the doubt by the referee calling that penalty. And by the way, DK, as he of course won the penalty, he actually immediately go to the ball and literally just kind of grab the ball way before Nani can of course take it, because Orlando, obviously they have been having that issue of who exactly is going to be the penalty kick taker. I mean, they've been saying that it's Nani the one to do so, but have you seen how bad Nani is from the penalty spot lately? So this was no surprise that Daryl DK knew that, yeah, there's no way I'm allowing Nani to take this penalty, because as much as he is the leader of this team, he is a guy that also screw it up the most whenever he's tried to take the penalty. And in some way, it's great the fact that DK does that, because I'm pretty sure Orlando fans will know that they're probably not going to capitalize this if Nani steps up from the spot. But in the 76th minute, DK of course steps up from the spot, and he puts away the penalty to give Orlando some life in this game. Then the 77th minute, Galese did deny Anunga, as Nashville was looking to try to restore the 2-goal lead. But then Benji Michel puts it high from close range, and as time winds down, you can see Nashville, they were going with their usual bunker kind of shape. And again, anytime when Nashville go through that bunker shape, I feel like it's always going to be game over, and there was just no chance for an opposition to score, even if Orlando kind of just put the kitchen sink and look for the equalizer. But like I said, this is one of the rare times that Nashville, of course, let a lead slip away late in the game, and in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, they did exactly that, as Anunga, the one that was Anunga, the one that of course scored an own goal to tie the game up at 2 apiece. And this was just kind of one of those dangerous ball that was coming in, and unfortunately Anunga, the one that basically was kind of the victim of heading into his own net. But nevertheless, Orlando City gets the crucial equalizer, and they stop the bleeding in terms of avoiding losing 5 in a row. As the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 12 that Orlando City has. Both teams had 6 shots on goal, 6 shots off target compared to 5 that Orlando City has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Orlando City has, and possession-wise, 63% possession compared to 37% possession that Nashville has in this game. And as much as Orlando City will definitely feel like this is a win, they can't just be complacent, because they still have a winless run. And as I said in the preview, the good news is they are going to start to get a bit of an easier schedule, and they are going to start to play some games at home after going through this gauntlet of a schedule. But like I said, they can't be complacent. They need to of course snap out of this winless run that they have. But for Nashville, yeah, this has to be very disappointing. And the fact that it really felt like they lost this game with the way that they were 2-0 up. And a lot of time when Nashville was 2-0 up, they usually maybe either add on or just easily hang on to get all 3 points. But that's just not the case in this one. And they still do have a comfortable lead in terms of second place. But, dropping points at home, especially when you don't have a lot of home game for the rest of the season, yeah, that just kind of proved that maybe Nashville might need one more win on the road if they want to secure second spot in the Eastern Conference. But now moving on, in terms of a next match, is Colorado. Oh boy, the Rapids really needed this win badly, because it's been even though the Rapids has been in this incredible run where I think they have now have an 11-game unbeaten streak after this win. But when you look at how bad things have gone with the Rapids, and them drawing so many games and kind of letting leads slip out of their fingers, yeah, things were kind of looking a little bit dire for this Rapids team, and you're just wondering, is this kind of starting to look like that FC Dallas team that we saw back in 2017, where it's kind of a team that doesn't have a lot of star power, but always have a player to, of course, score the crucial goal. And in the latter part of the season, we know how that, of course, went, where nobody started to kind of, well, actually, it wasn't the 2017 Dallas team. I meant the 2018 Dallas team that, of course, just kind of run out of steam at the end of the season. But yeah, it looked like that was going to be the case for the Rapids, but they got a crucial win and also score some goals that they have not had that kind of success in the last couple of games. And in fact, I think it's the first time they have actually scored more than 2 goals, or at least this is only the second time that they have scored more than 1 goal in the last 7 games that they had. Now, in the 12th minute, Lewis struck the post as he went through on the goal before Mosqueda did put one straight to Andrew Tarbell. Tarbell, of course, got the start in this game. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Tarbell hasn't got a lot of start for Austin. I mean, I know Brad Stuver basically, of course, what has been a starters in this game, but I didn't think that Tarbell was going to just be stuck on the bench throughout this entire game, and he kind of got a start in this one. Now, that being said, I thought early on Colorado has been by far the better team, and they were looking to score the opening goal. Tarbell then denied Estevez in the near post before Yarbrough was able to rob Gaines as he went through on goal in the 35th minute. Then Gaines also kind of pleading that he was kind of pushed from behind from Abubakar as he took that shot. And when I look on the replay, yeah, I mean, he did kind of get a little bit of a shot from Abubakar, but it's not really enough, where I feel like maybe Gaines kind of trying to embellish a little bit there. And when you try to embellish there, yeah, you're probably not going to get the benefit of the call there, and therefore that was not given a penalty. But in the 37th minute, Romania did hit it wide on the corner, and Austin, they were starting to kind of come back into this game after in these first 30 minutes of this game, they were just by far second best. But eventually the Rapids did get the opening goal of this game, and it's Jonathan Lewis that scored from Price and Beitashour. Now, I thought this was an own goal on Lima, and I think the Rapids broadcast was, if I remember the main commentator name, it's Richard Fleming. He even said it's an own goal on Lima, and in some way I agree with him, because yeah, this one, yes, Lewis kind of got a flick on it, but that one was off target, and it was just kind of put back in from Nick Lima. So when you're a player, then you hit a shot off target and it hit off of a defender that goes into the back of the net, I mean, that's a definition of own goal. So I don't know why the goals or the scorekeeper in this game, and I even double checked this afternoon to see if they change it, and they haven't changed it. They still said that the goal was given to Jonathan Lewis. But either way, I don't think the Rapids would care. They finally get a crucial 1-0 lead heading into halftime. But as we head into the second half, that goal seems like it was huge for the Rapids and kind of gave them some momentum, because coming out of the gate, Mosqueda was scored from Bassett to make it 2-0 in favor of the Rapids. But in many ways, this was a mistake from not actually Brad Stuvert. I forgot Tarbell actually started this game. Or actually, no. Let me just double check to make sure if that is the case, because I swear I thought it was actually Stuvert or actually originally I thought Tarbell was the one that started the game, but it might have been Stuvert that actually started this one. And if it is the case, then yeah, I might have just made a lot of mistake by talking about who, of course, started this one. No, it's actually Tarbell that actually actually started this one, so that was actually a mistake of me kind of blaming Brad Stuver on that. But yeah, in some way, when I saw that kind of mistake from Tarbell, it just makes me think, yeah, I mean, you remember how I said before how when you get former Quakes players, they tend to do well when they leave the Quakes. Austin fans, yeah, it doesn't seem like it has translated in tournament, because I remember Austin then really was getting some player from the Quakes, getting Tarbell and then getting Nick Lima, and both of them, and also not to mention Danny Houston too from the expansion draft, and none of them has really excelled whatsoever. So yeah, I do apologize that I kind of say that to you Austin fans, but it doesn't always happen. I mean, it did happen to Audubon Godoy with him going to Nashville, and now you see how much he excelled with the team. But again, sometimes it kind of doesn't happen, and it just kind of shows you the case that, yeah, that was it. I mean, Tarbell here with this mistake, probably the reason why he's not the main goalkeeper for Austin, because he just literally passed it straight to Cole Bassett, and Bassett basically plays it to Mosquito, who easily gets it in to give the Rapids a 2-0 lead. Before, it was 3-0 in favor of the Rapids, as Austin Trusty would score from Price to make it 3-0 in favor of the Rapids. Dominguez then hits it straight to Yarbrough from close range before doing the same thing in the 79th minute. And really, as time winds down, Colorado was just basically shut up shop, and they were trying to hold on to the 3-0 lead, which they did exactly that, as that would be the final score of this game. And the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 8 that Austin has, 5 shots on goal compared to 4 that Austin has. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 2 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Austin has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Austin FC has. And like I said, for the Rapids, they desperately needed this. I mean, yes, it was against the worst team in the Western Conference, but with how much wins has been kind of scarce for this Rapids team, they really need to get one to get their confidence back, that they can be heading into the playoffs, not in kind of a one and done or heading into the playoff in a one and done situation where they're kind of ice cold and they could be potentially eliminated in the first round. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Houston Dynamo and the Vancouver Whitecaps, and my oh my, I do not know how the Dynamo did not win this game. Like, they had pretty much tons of opportunity to win this game against the Whitecaps, but yet they put a 0 on the board in this one, and in the end, this game ended in a 0-0 draw. I mean, in some way, not only the fact that the Dynamo somehow didn't win this game, but I will also kind of give credit to Maxime Crépeau, did come up with a couple of big saves, and not to mention the post kind of came to the rescue from the Whitecaps a couple of times, because in the first half, 7 minutes in, Quintero hits it into the side netting in the back post before Fafa Pico, of course, struck the post, and Dynamo was just all over Vancouver early, and that would pretty much continue for the rest of the 90 minutes. Pico then blasted high from 12 yards out in the 11th minute before Mino Figueroa kind of hit one over from 18 yards out. I mean, it's not very often you see a player hits one from 18 yards out. And that one kind of had some good pace, although I think Crépeau would have tipped that one over if it was on target. But in the 29th minute, Quintero, I thought he should have scored this one, as he just could not quite put a tap in from 6 yards out. And again, despite so many chances that the Dynamo has in this game, we remain scoreless heading into the second half. And in the second half, Houston pretty much picked up where they left off and continued to press for the opener. Crépeau was able to deny Quintero from 10 yards out in the 50th minute before Figueroa drives one that goes high. And then Crépeau was able to deny Tyler Pasher, but he did give up a big rebound to Quintero. And Quintero, yeah, he should have done better. Like, that one was right there for him to slot at home, but he just could not puts it on target. And kind of that moment just sums up the Dynamo night, where they just did not have the shooting boots in this one. Then in the 79th minute, though, it definitely looked like they finally broke through that deadlock when Fafa Pico scored, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside, and there was no doubt that was the correct call, because Fafa Pico was at least a yard or two offside when that ball was played to him. But in the 83rd minute, Maxime Crépeau, I talked about how he kind of really channeled his form from last year, where there was time where he was just shooting on his head to try to either preserve a clean sheet or maybe even keep the Whitecaps in this game, because in this one, he absolutely robbed Griffin Dorsey that hits a very good shot from 15 yards out, but Crépol was able to deny him there. Before Dahomey did had a shot that was kind of headed backwards by Seren, and that one actually almost ended up to be an own goal for the Houston Dynamo, and really kind of the only chance that the Whitecaps has. Like, it took them 88 minutes to do so, and it wasn't even going to be a goal that it's going to be go down in favor of one of their players, because again, that was the one that Seren basically just hit that one backwards. Definitely not the way you want to hit clear the ball away from a header, and that one just goes high. And despite the fact Houston did try to push late to get a late winner, it was not meant to be, as in the end it somehow ended in a 0-0 draw between both of these teams. And the shots in this game heavily in favor of Houston. 17 shots compared to 5 that Vancouver has. 4 shots on goal compared to just 1 that the Whitecaps had. 9 shots off target compared to 1 that the Whitecaps had. 4 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that the Whitecaps had. And possession-wise, 63% possession compared to 37% possession that the Vancouver Whitecaps has in this game. And like I said, for the Whitecaps, yeah, in many ways they probably don't deserve a point out of this game, but they can definitely thank Crépol and certainly the post, and also some bad finishing for Houston as the reason why they didn't lose this one. But if they kind of play like this in the future, especially against a much better team, yeah, don't expect them to walk out with a point out of this game. And yeah, again, as ugly as it is sound, we're now at this point of the season where even if you don't play well, or in this case, the Whitecaps kind of just got very lucky to get a point out of this, you take it. This point could maybe even mean the difference in terms of making the playoffs at the end of the season, or missing the playoff by just 1 point. But now moving on in terms of the next match, and speaking of the playoffs, so this was a playoff 6-pointer between RSL versus the Galaxy, and I mentioned earlier that this was a game I was maybe expecting there's going to be a lot of goals, because both of these teams have a lot of good attackers, and both of these teams also have a very dodgy back line. And when you look at the stats, it definitely looked like it was going to be the case where this was going to be a shootout, but in the end, the game did end it 2-1 in favor of RSL, and it didn't quite end it in a way that it was a shootout, I imagine. Though there was definitely a lot of chances in the second half, and it could have been that way if both teams maybe was a little bit more clinical in this game. But we did see probably a contention for not just, forget goal of the week, the goal that Julio scored in the last minute, but he might maybe even in contention for goal of the year, the goal that he course or to basically win the game for RSL. Now, early on, there was not much happening in the first 10 minutes, but I guarantee that's the only time when this game kind of felt a little bit dull, because in the 15th minute, Ochoa was able to deny Chicharito from 15 yards out. Chicharito, he had a lot of chances in this game, and he's probably going to have nightmare about Ochoa all game long, because Ochoa really come up big in this game, making a couple of big save. Before, in the 22nd minute, Grandsir did hit one straight to Ochoa. By the way, the RSL announcer, they actually pronounce his name Grandsir, which, yeah, that's not how you pronounce it. You have to pronounce it in a French pronunciation, which is Grandsir, because Samuel Grandsir is a French player, but I guess maybe they didn't get that memo. But either way, the Galaxy was definitely in the front foot, and they were looking to try to push for the opener, but it's actually RSL, the one that gets the opening goal, as Damir Kralek was able to score from Rusnak. Now, originally, it looked like Bond was able to keep this one out, but on a second look, it looked like the ball just crossed the line there, and the goal, of course, was given. And in some way, it was also kind of against the run of play, too, because the Galaxy was actually the better team up to that point, and somehow RSL, in the very last minute of the first half, kind of got a smash and grab goal and lead 1-0 heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, it was definitely much more tighter, and this is when really both teams had a ton of opportunity to get the next goal early on. In the 50th minute, Ruiz drive one that goes wide from long range before Chicharito had a free header, but he missed that one high. It's not often you see Chicharito miss a free header in the box. Bond then denied Ruiz in the 54th minute. Both teams was getting a couple of chances to get the next goal. Before in the 56th minute, Ochoa absolutely robbed Chicharito, who went through on goal. Like, as soon as when he went through on goal, I thought for sure that Chicharito was going to score, because usually when he goes through on goal like that, he is just such a deadly finisher. But Ochoa, what a brilliant save, and kind of a brilliant kick save there to keep this one at 1-0. Rivalson then drive one that goes wide in the 57th minute before Alvarez tried to curl one in, but he missed that one high. Krylak then had a chance to put this one in from long range, but he puts that one high. But then in the 76th minute, at long last, Chicharito, who has just been so dangerous in this game. I mean, you knew with how many chances that he's been giving in this game, you knew that eventually, if he's going to get another one, he's going to bury it. And he did in this moment, as he scored from Alvarez to tie the game up at 1 apiece. But then just 2 minutes later, RSL almost retake the lead. Bond had to deny Julio from a point-blank effort before Chicharito puts it high from close range in the 79th minute. Like, I wasn't kidding when Chicharito could have got a hat trick in this game. He missed so many chances in this game that was kind of very unlike Chicharito in this one. But there was no doubt this game was up for grabs with the chances that it was coming for both teams. Ochoa then denied Alvarez in the back post in the 86th minute before Joveljic, coming off the bench, heads it high from the corner in the first minute of stoppage time. And just as we thought that this was going to end in a stalemate draw, RSL gets the winner literally at the very death of this game. And like I said, Anderson Julio, I mean, what a goal this was that he scored from Damir Krylak. Like, forget the fact that this is going to be goal of the week contention. Like, this is definitely going to win goal of the week. But how about goal of the year contention, where he basically kind of just took this one down and just kind of hits this one on the volley in a perfect position. Kind of almost a Darlington Nagbe-esque kind of goal where, well, actually not quite, because Nagbe kind of took that one off his chest and then kind of hits it. More like in this case, Julio basically kind of took it down his feet and hits it off the volley. But nevertheless, when you see that goal that happen, you know it is an absolute golazo. And no doubt that not only is a golazo, but it gives RSL all 3 points in this one, as they win 2-1 against the Galaxy in this one. And the shots in this one, 20 shots compared to 12 that RSL had, 4 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Galaxy had, 6 shots off target compared to 7 that the Galaxy had, 8 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that RSL has in this game. And the misery for the Galaxy continue. It's now 8 games without a win, though this was no doubt probably the best game that they play out of this 8-game winless run. But yeah, I mean, they kind of got blue ball late in this game, and you know when a team is not having a good run when you had such a bad luck that they had, where, you know, they were just missing so many chances in the game, and then of course getting walked off by an incredible goal that their opposition scored in the very last minute. Before RSL, not only the fact that this is a huge 3 points, but on a night where most team around them weren't able to get all 3 points, they were definitely the big winner in terms of that playoff race in the Western Conference right now. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Timbers and LAFC. And the Timbers, for the second straight time, they were able to win by the same scoreline that they did last time against LAFC, this time winning 2-1 on the road against LAFC. And early on, they had an opportunity in the 5th minute as Asprilla tried to chip the keeper, but he missed that one high. Although LAFC had most of the possession early in this game, but in some way they kind of just play right into the Timbers' hand, because well, the Timbers, this is what they do. They love to go for their bread and butter, trying to sit deep and trying to go on the counter. I mean, after what happened in that game against RSL, why not for Giovanni Savarese to try to go that same tactics and see if it worked out. So, I mean, it wasn't as lethal in this game, because I thought at time LAFC did a good job in terms of preventing those counterattack for the Timbers, but I can understand why Savarese decided to kind of play it this way in this game. But in the 7th minute, Arango hits one straight to Steve Clark before Blackman actually getting his first start for LAFC. He palmed a dangerous cross away from Blanco. Asprilla then tried to chip it over Blackman, but this one was clear off the line before Raheem Edwards hits it wide in the 39th minute. And both teams were looking to try to get a goal before halftime to take the lead. Atuesta had a chance to do so in the 44th minute, but he hits a free kick straight into Steve Clark. But with time winding down in the first half, it looked like it was going to be 0-0 heading into the second half until in the first minute of stoppage time, the Timbers score. And it's Jimmy Chara that scored from Darren Asprilla to give the Timbers a 1-0 lead, and that's how we head to halftime in this game. Now, in the second half, LAFC tried to get the equalizer quickly as Cifuentes trying to lob one that just missed a little bit high in the 47th minute. But they did get the equalizer in the 55th minute as Denny Masvotsky was able to score from Cifuentes to tie the game up at 1 apiece. But unfortunately, that equalizer and the fact that LAFC was tied up in this game wouldn't last long because the Timbers immediately retake the lead just 4 minutes later. And it's Darren Asprilla, the one that was able to score to make it 2-1 in favor of the Timbers. I mean, I said before, the memes unfortunately has long been down with Darren Asprilla, where he's not allowed to score goals until October and September. I mean, in some way, you could say maybe the meme could still be alive because, hey, you know, heading into to this next match weekend. In fact, tomorrow it's October, so you know most likely if Darren Asprilla has already scored like I think this is his 7th goal of the season. Man, I can't imagine how he's going to look in October, where he's probably gonna score every single game and trying to maybe even win the Golden Boot race out of nowhere. But nevertheless, he of course scored that one to make it 2-1. But then in the 70th minute, LAFC looked like they had a chance to equalize, as they were of course given a penalty, but unfortunately that penalty was taken back because they go to VAR to see whether or not indeed Chara did handball that one. And when I look on the replay, yeah, definitely did not look clear, or well, it kind of looked clear and obvious that Chara didn't handball that one, because the original call of course was the fact that it was a penalty, and in the end they basically called it right by not giving a penalty there. But as the time winds down, Portland continued to sit deep, and maybe even sitting even deeper. Like, this is a point where they just put like 11 men behind the box and just looking to hold on to the lead. Though they did have a couple of chances on the counter, with Mora hits it wide from close range in the 80th minute before Mabiela hits it wide in the 83rd minute. And then in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Clark had to make a save on Kim Moon Kwan as LAFC was pushing to try to get the equalizer, and there was actually 9 minutes of stoppage time in this game. And you know, with the Timbers, even though this year I know stats would say that they're still one of the worst team in terms of closing out games, as they still give up a ton of goals in the last 15 minutes, but I feel like this year they've done much better compared to last season, where it feels like last season, you know, if this was the Timbers of last season, they probably would have gave up that late goal to LAFC. But you know, this year the Timbers have done a much better job in terms of that, and also helped the fact that LAFC has just been so toothless throughout this year. And this is another loss that they suffer, as Portland was able to walk away with a 2-1 victory. And the shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 9 that the Timbers had, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Timbers had, 4 shots off target compared to 6 that the Timbers had, 6 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that the Timbers had, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that the Portland Timbers has in this game. And you know, certainly, fans from Vancouver, RSL, and also the San Jose Earthquakes would like to thank the Portland Timbers of getting this win, because you know that will keep the race still very interesting, where you know the 8th, 9th, and 10th spot is still separated by just 1 point. And not to mention, you know, the above the red line right now, I think it's still a 4-point gap right now, though you know Minnesota is that last team and they do have that game in hand, and maybe we start to see a little bit of a pullway between the team that's just above the red line and below the red line. But I'm pretty sure this is also a case where all 3 of these teams want to make sure they don't have one of these teams just kind of go above the red line and kind of run away with it. They want to kind of stay close to make it even more interesting as we head into the final week, and hope that teams above them continue to drop points and make this race once again very interesting down the stretch. But that being said, I am now going to switch the board one more time. I'm actually going to erase this board and look at the last game, which is the game that I attended between the San Jose Earthquakes and the Seattle Sounders. And finally, last but not least, is us talking about what happened in the game between the San Jose Earthquakes versus the Seattle Sounders, which, before I actually get to it, I just want to make a big announcement that in the middle of October, until I believe October 27th, I'm actually going to be going to New York to see a couple friends that I have there, and I'm actually also even going to be attending the New York Derby that is going to be happening, I believe, in October 17th. And then once that Derby game is over, I think the very next day we'll be flying down to Miami, and then on Wednesday I'm going to be attending the Inter Miami versus TFC match. So there's a couple of MLS games that I'm going to be attending in the East Coast, which would be the first time that would happen, because I don't think I've ever attended an MLS game in the East Coast, and also kind of check off in terms of some of the stadium I get to visit, including a bucket list that I've been wanting to do, which is attend a New York Derby. But the reason why I kind of mention it now, and I'll probably mention it again in the future, is the fact that, during that time when I am going to be going to New York and Miami, I believe the Quakes do have a couple of home games, and I think by now you probably know that the Quakes, they hate me when I'm at attending the game. I'm just pretty much an absolute curse to the San Jose Earthquakes, because this season, it just always seems like whenever I attend their game, they always tend to lose, and when I don't attend their game, they always tend to find ways to win. And this basically adds to the latest episode of it when they lose 3-1 against the Seattle Sounders. Now, to be fair, I did say before that I probably picked the wrong game in terms of trying to reverse this curse, and hope that maybe I would use some reverse psychology for the Quakes to finally get a win when I'm attending a game at PayPal Park, because when you look to try to reverse that curse against the best team in the West, probably that is not the right time to do so. And in this game, I mean, the Sounders pretty much just shows why exactly they are the best team in the West, and it's also kind of a game of the pretty much halves of MLS and the have-nots of teams in MLS right now. But in the first half, there was an early shout for a penalty from the Quakes, but it was not given. A lot of possession early for the Sounders as the Quakes was elected to sit deep, although eventually they did kind of get back into the game and started to have possession, but they just could not quite find that final ball. There was also some sloppy giveaway from the Quakes at the back, which I thought for sure that one of those chances was going to capitalize by the Sounders, because you just cannot afford to give the ball away against this dangerous Sounders attack. And eventually the Sounders do get the lead, although this wasn't actually from a giveaway, but more of just some bad defending from the Quakes, and also a guy that you just simply cannot afford to make some defensive mistake. And that, of course, is Raul Ruidiaz, who scored from Christian Roldan. And you know how when there's certain times where when a goal is about to score, and even though the goal hasn't gone in, you knew that a couple of seconds leading up to it, the ball is going to end up into the back of the net. And this was basically that time where as soon as I saw Ruidiaz basically turn on these there in the box, I knew that one was going to the back of the net. I knew he basically done him. And honestly, even though as a Quakes fan watching this, seeing that go in, I mean, I know a lot of Quakes fans are probably frustrated, but I was kind of quietly applauding, because, not just because I'm supporting the Sounders. I mean, you probably know, if you watched this channel a long time ago, I hate the Seattle Sounders. They're one of my most hated team in the league. But that moment, I simply just almost have to not only tip my caps off, but quietly kind of clap in the stadium, because that was just such a lovely goal from Ruidiaz, and just shows you why Raul Ruidiaz is considered the best striker in the league right now, because he just absolutely done on these there. And I mean that, and I even saw a couple of Peruvian fans in the stands in this game, and they definitely got themselves a treat seeing their countrymen scoring some good goals in this game, and just getting and just absolutely tearing this Quakes defense into pieces. Now in the 38th minute though, Ruidiaz did kind of had a bad moment when he basically got booked because of simulation. I mean, he was trying to maybe draw a penalty, and not only the fact that that was definitely not a good dive, but when you basically embellish like that Ruidiaz, you're definitely gonna get a yellow card. And I won't be surprised well, not today, but maybe tomorrow, that this goal might be basically handing an envelope that has a fine to Raul Ruidiaz, because you're basically gonna get fined if you decide to dive in the box and embellish to try to draw a penalty. But speaking of penalty, a penalty was given to the Seattle Sounders, as Mark Stankowski basically brought Roldan in the box. Now originally, I thought the referee basically pointed to the corner flag, and I was actually watching this high up of the stadium, and of course I was watching the other games that was going on. And I did see this moment, and this was happening on the other side of the field, and I couldn't quite tell whether or not if that was a penalty or not. And to this day, I still don't know if indeed if that is the right call. I mean, I think judging by the fact that not a lot of Quakes player kind of complained, maybe that indeed was a penalty. But what's kind of strange is that, I'm not sure if I missed the referee just kind of points to the spot, but this one was going to go to the corner flag, and I thought, yeah, no penalty was given. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of put it into the box, and all of a sudden, I think a lot of Quakes fans kind of had that same reaction as I did. They kind of just was shocked and start booing because of the fact that it was a penalty. But nevertheless, the penalty was given, and they didn't even go to VAR to check to see if it's a penalty or not. So when that usually happen, most of the times that usually means that it was clearly a penalty, which Ruidíaz basically made no mistake, and the Seattle Sounders were up 2-0, and that was pretty much game, set, and match. It was already game, set, and match. I knew when the Sounders got that 1-0 lead, but you're not going to come back against the Seattle Sounders when you down by more than a goal. And we head to halftime with that scoreline. And then 4 minutes into the second half, it would be 3-0 in favor of the Seattle Sounders, as Christian Roldan would score from Madrona and Montero. I mean, Christian Roldan just loved to score against the San Jose Earthquakes, because I think 2 of the 4 goals that he scored this season is against the San Jose Earthquakes, including the one that he's scored, which turns out to be the game winner in that meeting earlier this season back in May. Shane O'Neill unfortunately did score an own goal in the 51st minute. I thought originally this was credit to be a goal for Benji Kikanovic, but in the end it was actually deemed to be an own goal. And in some way I kind of had a feeling it looked like it did kind of take a touch off of O'Neill and hits it into his own net. Tillies give the Quakes fans something to cheer about, but really that was kind of the only thing they get to cheer about tonight, because even with that goal, I didn't think that the Quakes had any chance of coming back. In the 53rd minute, though, it looked like the Sounders was trying to restore that 2-goal lead, and Christian Roldan, he just loved to score against the Quakes, and he almost scored another one. He not have his own teammate Freddie Montero basically blocked that one, and you can definitely see Roldan was furious. That one, I think it would have been in the back of the net if Freddie Montero didn't block his own teammate shot. I mean, that of course does happen occasionally, but whenever it happened, it can be very, very frustrated, especially when you're the guy that took the shot. But I did thought that the Quakes kind of tried to give me false hope. I started to press to try to get a goal back, but all that does is allow the Sounders a chance to maybe go on the counterattack. Mark Sinkowski was able to deny late there, and that attack, I think, started on the break. Before Fry did deny Wando in the near post, Montero then hits the side netting on a lightning counterattack. Before, in the 90th minute, Kikanovic did hits one straight to Stephen Fry. By the way, I think after this game was at 3-0, I started to really concentrate on the Portland Timbers versus LAFC game, because I knew this game was already done. And while I'm still at the stadium, and of course I can still keep track of the game, there wasn't really a lot of time where I kind of just look up to see what actually happened, because like I said, this game was pretty much done. There was really no point of really keep a very close eye on this one, and just kind of see the other game that has playoff aspiration to see whether or not if the Quakes at least can maybe stay in the playoff race. And as of now, they can still stay. They're still in this playoff race even with this loss. But they still, of course, at the end they lose 3-1 to the Seattle Sounders. And the shots in this one, 9 shots apiece for both teams. 5 shots on goal for the 3 that the Quakes had. 2 shots off target for the 1 that the Quakes had. 2 shots that was blocked for the 5 that the Quakes had. And possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that the Sounders has had in this game. And really, this was just business as usual, where you kind of knew that the Sounders was going to get all 3 points against a Quakes team that, again, this team loved to give me false hope that they can make it to the playoffs. And although, yes, they still have a chance, and especially they still get a lot of chance to play against these teams around them, it's almost like I mean, I don't want to say I don't believe in this team, because if I just say I don't believe and I think this team is not going to make the playoffs, Quakes fans will be on my case and said that I'm being too pessimistic. But I've seen this story so many time before, and I'm just ready for disappointment. Though let's just hope maybe that's just kind of a way to get this team going, and hope that they can win against against, you know, this next game against the Whitecaps, which is one of the teams that they are going to be fighting for those last couple of spots of the playoffs in the West. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review for all of this game. And if you have made it this far into the video, thank you for your support, because you know what, it is now, well, actually I just started a new recording after I switched the board, but I think it's now 1 hour and 29 minutes into this video. I mean, I did say this is the longest review of the season, but we have finally made it to the end. And of course, if you enjoy this long review, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video? I mean, you didn't have to watch the whole review. There's a whole reason why I, of course, leave the timestamp in the description, and I'm going to do that once again. So, of course, if you don't want to watch the full review, you can, and just want to watch what I have to say about your team in the game that you're playing, you can just go down the description to find those timestamps. But, you know, if you are one of those true fan of my channel and watch all the way up to here, I want to thank you for your support, and thank you for watching just such a long review that kind of felt like almost like a documentary that you just watched. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.